So a picture of Ukrainian military strength on display right here in the heart of Kiev. These are destroyed Russian tanks and armored personnel carriers, missiles shot down, other signs and evidence of Ukrainian success against the Russians. On display in Kiev, certainly to give confidence to people in Ukraine that the Ukrainian military has found success, but beyond that also as a reminder that this war is not over. The engagement continues and the confrontation continues, and it is brutal. This is a picture of war from the battlefield to show that this is not simply about numbers and figures and statements and counter statements. This is a slice of the brutal reality from out there for people to see, for people to know that they need to continue to support this. They need to continue to back Ukrainian military in its fight, and it is by all indications going to be a long fight, and all this laid out at the feet of the church back here. Such is the expression of faith in times of war. The picture of the tanks here tells a particular story. By very reliable indications, more than 2,000 Russian tanks have been destroyed. The Dutch group Oryx has done a count. It has made its methodology transparent. It only lists and documents every single case of a tank having been destroyed. Every number is backed by and supported by photographic or video evidence. That number of course keeps changing because the confrontation continues, but according to the latest, about 2,000 Russian tanks have been destroyed. Russia itself has admitted to the destruction of about 1,000 of its tanks. That is an indication just how extensive and how close this confrontation has been, how aggressively and hard fought this battle has been all along and continues to be. But there is another dimension. These are tanks that were destroyed, and these carcasses have been brought here as display. But in the latest engagement in Kharkiv, where Russian forces withdrew, a lot of Russian tanks were left behind. They have been seized, and these are reported to include very advanced T-80 and T-90 tanks, and military experts believe that many of these can and will now be used by the Ukrainian military back against the Russians. That is going to be quite an irony for Ukraine now to use Russian military equipment against Russia. But Ukraine has said that that is not going to answer its problems. Ukraine has been looking for tanks from the US and from Germany, advanced tanks to take on the Russian military. That support by way of tanks has not been forthcoming yet, not least because tanks are not the easiest to transport. We've had supply from the US and from other Western European nations of anti-aircraft systems. These are light and more easy to transport, and there is a fear that transportation of tanks will be quite visible and lay them open to attack from Russian missiles. But the fact is that an estimated 380 Russian tanks have been seized through the latest confrontation that has added to the Ukrainian arsenal to an extent.
So I am Ukrainian guy who till now cannot understand what we do so wrong that Russia came to us to kill us, our families, and destroy our country. This is only small sample of a weapon that entered in our country for killing us, our families, destroy our country, our infrastructure and our buildings. It is something, it's crazy, it's 21st century, but it's understandable that Russia has a more potential than Ukraine, and we need the international, the help of all civil society to help us to stop this idiotism in our time, in our century.